Hi, I'm Samantha Seneviratne. I'm a cookbook author and a food stylist, and today I'm going to show you how to make a cranberry and pear cobbler with gingerbread spiced biscuits. One thing I don't have to worry about around the holidays is who's going to scrub the dishes, since Finish Ultimate tackles burnt-on stains. So the first thing we have to do is preheat the oven to 400 degrees, and then we're going to start by making our filling. So this one is pear and cranberry. I love making cobbler. I think we should make cobbler all year round, so this is sort of a winter-inspired cobbler. Brown sugar. I'm gonna actually just bash these up a little bit before they go into the oven. I think cranberries and pears, winter fruit, is sort of a little bit tougher than summer berries and things like that. This is a fun part, actually. Ooh. If you can't find fresh cranberries, you can absolutely use frozen. You just have to let them thaw a little bit before you throw them in your pan. But either work great. So we'll mix that up a little bit. So I love to cook at the holidays. Cooking is what I do, so I really love to feed people. But I always find that when I have a big crowd over, I'm always thinking about the dishes that I have sitting in the sink. Since I switched to Finish Ultimate, I can really be more present with my friends and family because I know those dishes are gonna get clean, even without a pre-rinse and even in the toughest conditions. I have a little pet peeve. I always tell my friends, please don't help me with the dishes. I want my customers. I just want my friends to have a good time and for nobody to be worrying about dishes. Okay, so now I'm gonna fold in my pears. I'm using Bartlett pears. I like them for cobbler because they sort of release a little bit of juice and make the whole thing sort of luscious and delicious. I keep the skins on. I think it's easier, and also I think that pears have a tendency to really break down in the oven, and sometimes keeping the skins on a little bit just holds their shape. So we'll mix that together with some cornstarch, of course, just for a little thickening, and some vanilla extract, always so good with pears, and a little bit of chopped crystallized ginger. I just love those little bites of spiciness. You can't see it, but it's just a little special treat you get when you eat it. Don't forget a little bit of salt. And this can go in the oven for about 20 minutes, just to start cooking down a little bit and get juicy. Okay, into the oven she goes. So now we can make our biscuits while our fruit is cooking. We'll start with our all-purpose flour. I have my dark brown sugar. I like dark brown sugar, especially for something like gingerbread biscuits, more molasses flavor. But if you have light brown sugar, that's also just fine. I'm adding ground ginger, cinnamon, all my favorite holiday spices, a little bit of ground cloves. We also need to add some baking soda and baking powder and some salt, always salt. And now we can mix that all together. Make sure you get all those lumps out of the brown sugar. So now we can work in our butter. So we're using 1 stick of cold butter into the mixture. I love using a pastry blender because you can cut the butter into the flour without the warmth from your fingers actually melting the butter. What you want are little tiny pieces of butter folded into the flour mixture. You want them to be cold and pebbly because what's gonna happen is in the oven, those are gonna melt, create steam, and just give you a tender, tender biscuit. If you don't have a pastry blender, you can take 2 butter knives and use them scissor style, is how I write it in recipes. And if at any point you think your butter is getting too warm, you can just pop this mixture into the fridge, pick up in 15 minutes. So that looks good to me. We'll set it aside and just mix together our wet ingredients. I have heavy cream, molasses. This is what's gonna give it that wonderful gingerbread quality, and it's gonna make your house smell amazing. And 1 large egg. Molasses adds burnt sugar flavor, and I think it is quintessential holiday vibes. So now we're gonna mix our wet into dry. I like to mix it with a fork, because then you can really see that your dough has been evenly moistened without adding any heat from your hands and without overworking the dough. I think it's better to make a biscuit dough that's a little bit on the dry side versus on the wet side. I think the end result ends up being just a little more tender. I think this is perfect. So I'm just gonna knock it out onto my work surface and then gather it into a rectangle. I'm gonna cut it into 8 biscuits. I always do rectangles instead of using a biscuit cutter to cut circles out, because if you do rectangles, there's no waste. Who wants wasted biscuits? When you do circles, they're scraps. Okay. They're a little crumbly, it's totally okay. That's how they're gonna be craggy and soft and tender and beautiful. So don't overthink it. Okay, here's my fruit, partially cooked. It smells so good already. Now I'm gonna top it with my biscuits. Like that. So now I'm going to brush the tops of these with a little bit of cream. For a biscuit, it always adds a nice golden brown color in the oven. It makes them a little bit shiny. It's also gonna help with the sanding sugar that I love to sprinkle on top. I think it just finishes everything. It gives you a nice little crunch, makes everything sparkle. It's a nice way to finish a biscuit. Okay, so now this can go back in the oven for another 20 to 22 minutes. Here's my beautiful cobbler. And she looks so nice. Oop, I can't land it. So you know it's done when the fruit is bubbling, so that's gonna activate all the cornstarch, and your biscuits are done. You can use a toothpick to test and see if moist crumbs come out. You can also just sort of press it gently in the center and feel it. There's a difference, you know, if it's squidgy and soft, it's not done. If it's a little bit firm, it's done. I think it's time to serve it up. This is way too much for me to eat alone, so I'm gonna invite some of my Food52 friends to come and share cobbler with me. Okay, I'm gonna pop this in the dishwasher and call my pals.
All right, yeah, I'll leave.
Okay. Hi! Yay! I love your blue jumpsuit.
Yes.
Thanks for coming in, everybody.
Thank you, yes.
Thanks for inviting us.
Really excited.
Yes.
Nice and warm, a lot of ginger.
Very festive. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One big laughter.
Are we looking?
That's too hard. Where'd all my friends go? I was having so much fun with my pals that I forgot to taste the cobbler myself. So now it's my turn. Mmm. It's so good. The biscuits are tender, really molassesy. Is that a word? Molassesy. And the ginger the ginger in the fruit mixture, it's my favorite part because it doesn't come in every bite, but it's just like a little pop of sweet spiciness. I love it so much. I think my dishes are done too. Look at that, it's sparkling clean. Okay, so my cobbler is perfect, my dishes are clean, and I really feel like I can check one thing off my holiday to-do list, because with Finish Ultimate, I know they've got cleanup covered in the kitchen. If you're looking for a savory side dish for your holiday menu, check out Millie's video for a cheesy grits casserole. Happy holidays.